Hello to my fellow glorious Gaians. Thank you for joining me, Amber, on my channel, Guidance Through Gaia, where I do tarot card readings. If this is your first time, welcome. I hope that you find something useful or enjoyable for you today. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for joining us again so that I can read for you. Today, we are doing a pick a card reading asking, what don't we need to worry about? So we are going to be looking at a situation where you might be feeling insecure, and then we're going to delve into further details regarding like why you're feeling insecure or what exactly about the situation you're feeling insecure about. Then we are going to get information on why you shouldn't feel insecure about it, like why you should feel confident instead. And then we'll be getting some messages from the universe, kind of giving us advice on how to embrace that confidence. So we have 3 piles here. We have pile number 1. I'm still getting used to this new setup. And we have clouds, number 11. Pile number 2 with coins, number 10. And then pile number 3 with recycle, number 21. I think it's really interesting that piles 1 and 2 add up to pile 3. So go ahead, take as much time as you need. Obviously, this isn't live. Meditate on which pile or piles you feel called to, and I'll see you at your message. Bye. Hey, group number 1, you chose the card 11 with clouds, and this is your reading on what don't you need to feel insecure about. So these pre-shuffled cards right here are going to detail the situation. We're then going to be using the Wise Dog Tarot to get more information about what's going on, why it's going on, and why you shouldn't worry about it. And then these Oracle cards here are going to detail ways in which you can work on achieving that confidence. I also forgot to mention that I want to dive into some charms today. So let's get started. We have card number 11 with clouds, distractions. Jerusalem. Card number 42, 4th house, home in reverse. And then card number 37 with get out of your head. So I do want to make a little bit of a disclaimer with this Jerusalem card. So obviously I believe most of us, since we're on the internet right now, are fairly aware to varying degrees of what's going on over with the Israelites and the Palestinians. I do have my own personal opinions of the situation, but that's not all we will be discussing. And, you know, if there's a message here at all about the way in which the conflict, the war, the genocide, however, you know, it's affecting someone, is affecting them, I don't know that I can really be of much assistance. You know, my knowledge is rudimentary, and I don't have anything remotely similar to a personal experience such as this. But one thing I will say is that just keep in mind for all of us that people are individuals, that even within a group, even within a demographic, while there may be trends and similarities and whatnot, at the end of the day, we don't have a beehive mentality, you know? We don't all think the same. We don't all want the same things. We don't believe all the same things. And so it's important to remember whatever your personal perspective of the situation is that, you know, and it's important for me as well, whatever my perspective is to understand that every single person is an individual and cannot be judged solely based upon the demographic for which they belong. So that being said, we're going to get into this. It does seem that there is a lot of mental energy that you might be struggling with here. So with clouds and distractions, when we look up at the clouds, we can be kind of fantasizing. When we talk about having our head in the clouds, it can be fantasizing as well. It could also just mean being spacey, not being grounded in reality at the time, not focusing on the present, but instead reflecting on something maybe that was in the past or something that might be coming up in the future. We also have get out of your head. And it's interesting that right here we have, this skeleton with the brain intact. And we have this rooster up here. And behind the rooster is what appears to be a bullseye. So roosters oftentimes signify like the beginning of something. When I think of a rooster, I think of a farm, dawn approaching, and the rooster signifying like, hey, everybody get up. It's time to get shit done. And so being on top of the brain makes me think of somebody whose mind is constantly active. And yet it's embodied in this skeleton, which to me signifies somebody who may feel drained, somebody who may feel as if they're kind of on autopilot. When we're looking at the skeleton, we're not seeing like the nervous system or the muscles or the organs. It's just the basic mainframe of a person's body. And then we have a bullseye back here. So it's almost as if, we don't have the physical energy or the heart when we are thinking about a situation, but we're still trying to figure out like what is the best solution here. What is the point? What is the right move to make? Now, with this Jerusalem card, so this deck is really interesting. Each place, like each card is a different place, a different site across the world. And it's broken into 3 parts, broken into the bottom part, which is the past, the middle part, which is the present, and the future part, or the top part, which is the future. So the idea of this deck is to kind of figure out like, which part do you feel drawn to? And in choosing that part, you go and you read the book, and it gives you an indication about maybe what issue you're experiencing and how you can rectify that. Now, I'm not going to take the time to do all 3 parts. Sorry. One thing though is that the message is unified, and that this is a concept of like reverence, having a lot of respect and appreciation for someone or something. But this card talks about in many ways conflict, the conflict of the 3 Abrahamic religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. And basically like who has priority over this site? Who belongs at this location? What does it really mean? This also can have a discussion about conflict in regards to like how we live our life. And so whatever your situation is, because this doesn't seem as if it's getting too specific, but whatever your situation is, you seem to be torn in several different directions. And it feels as if you're less concerned about, or you're less focused on, let's say, about what is best for you. And instead focused more on like, what's the right thing to do? What's the correct thing to do? How can you support the needs of others or adhere to the standards of others? And then we have the 4th house with home in reverse. And so if we're looking at this as a more specific message in regards to the conflict that's occurring, I do want to say that if you feel as if your home is being torn apart, whether that's your family or physical location, my heart does go out to you. And I hope that you are able to find a strong support system. Sorry. Because I can't imagine what that feels like. I moved a lot when I was a kid. I think by the time I was 18, I had lived in like 13 different buildings, like apartments and stuff. But that was because, we moved states, or turns out like, the house got foreclosed, so we had to move somewhere else. But then all of a sudden we could move somewhere better. And that was difficult enough, but it's nothing like feeling as if some part of you is being ripped apart. So I hope that you do have a good support system, and are not just shouldering the burden on your own. However, in more of a generalized sense, the fourth house with home can really kind of be about, for one, feeling as if you don't belong, when it's in reverse here. Maybe feeling as if, I get that Psalm by 3 Days Grace in my head of like, this house is not a home. Feeling misplaced, feeling as if like there may be conflict that's occurring within your home. If you're living with like a roommate or a partner or family, or maybe you are just even like a tenant in a multi-unit building and you're struggling with your neighbors. That can make feeling safe in your own environment, or feeling valid in your own environment, very difficult. This card can also talk about kind of hiding away in your home and refusing to let like the outside world in, or refusing to leave the home and explore beyond that sense of comfort. So now we're going to look to see if there are any more like specific details that we can get about this situation. And, sometimes we do get very specific messages, very clear-cut scenarios, and sometimes it's a huge umbrella where multiple circumstances could be occurring. So we'll see. Like, what more can you tell us about where group 1 is feeling insecure? The Sun. Which is interesting because the Sun is a very powerful card. It's a very happy card, even when it's in reverse. It can talk about having an appreciation or a glimmer of hope in difficult circumstances. We have the Six of Swords and the Nine of Swords in reverse. So once again, we have a lot of mental energy here. It does appear that this is going to be a very general message. What it's talking about here is that there's this desire for you that you have for things to move in a positive direction. It looks as if you've been in a circumstance that's been kind of bleak, kind of draining, something that maybe hasn't had a lot of positivity to offer. And it's almost like you're afraid to hope that it will get better. But it's also as if there's this spark inside of you that's just kind of encouraging you, we always want to think that things can improve, especially when we've gone through a lot of darkness, and maybe things have started to improve, and you might be like, well, I shouldn't expect too much, or this might not last very long. What if it's too good to be true? Okay, so I want to see, like, where does this insecurity stem from? Like, what is the root of this insecurity? The Five of Pentacles and the Chariot. Oh. What's the root of this insecurity? The Eight of Wands. It's been such a long time since I've used these cards. I decided to use these ones because it's like, dogs are supposed to be man's best friend, you know? And then the Ten of Swords in reverse. So what it feels like the source of the insecurity is that the Chariot is all about taking action for ourselves, taking the reins, going in the direction that we feel called to go in. But then you've got the Five of Pentacles. And that talks about being cast out, being rejected, being left behind, being an outsider looking in. And it's really interesting that we have this card here where instead of this being like a church, which would be a sanctuary, it's the animal shelter, which we can look at as a sanctuary as well. But once again, that brings me back to this fourth house in reverse with home. I mean, dogs go to animal shelters when they're homeless, when they don't have a family to provide for them. And then they're being cast out of that even here. So it feels as if there's been significant instances where you have decided to move forward with something and then you were rejected, whether it, or felt rejected at the very least, whether it was by other people or whether it was, a circumstance didn't work out in the way that you expected. Now, we've got the Eight of Pentacles here, which is a travel card as well, and it's all about moving very quickly. With the Ten of Swords in reverse, which can talk about releasing burdens. And so I want to see, one interpretation that I can already see in this card is that there has maybe been one particular instance where this rejection or this lack of success caused you to develop maybe this tendency of running away to avoid stress, avoid pain. Or this could just have been over time, this becoming a habit. But I want to see if we can get some more clarity between the Eight of Wands and the Ten of Swords in reverse. Temperance. Okay. Now, I'll tell you what, the Eight of Wands is not a temperate card. It's not something where there's a sense of moderation that exists. It's a lot of times when we think of the Eight of Wands, it can often signify doing something impulsively or spontaneously. And that could even be maybe what caused this insecurity as well. This Ten of Swords could really represent, not thinking of the potential consequences or not thinking of the difficulties you may face, that you may have been challenged with. And so you might have had a habit of jumping towards things without thinking them through and experiencing a lot of pushback, which has caused this kind of insecurity, or you may have really gone for something that was important to you, kind of feeling overconfident about it, and then not achieving success in the way that you would expect it. So we're going to look at, like, why should you feel confident about whatever this is instead? You know, whatever it is that you're concerned about, if it's a relationship, if it's a move, if it's career, if it's, you know, a sense of like personal worth, like, why should you feel confident instead? Like, why? Like, what about this situation should you feel confident about? Like at the little chihuahua, he's like, "Argh." The devil and the moon. Oh my gosh, guys, that's beautiful. Why should you feel confident about whatever this is? Because these fears that you have, they're an illusion. These fears of not being good enough, or these fears of rejection, these fears of putting yourself out there, it's all an illusion. None of it is reality. It's all mental energy, guys. And I know that's like really frustrating sometimes to hear, because like it can be very difficult to combat that, you know, like it's not a physical thing when we have insecurities. Like how do we combat insecurities? First of all, we move forward, we persevere. We do things in spite of being afraid, and sometimes we just continue no matter how many times we don't feel we're achieving the success that we want. Sometimes we continue after deliberating, like, oh, why didn't this work out? How can I do this differently? One thing that for me I had to do is, okay, so I tend to be really insecure in relationships, or the thought of being in a relationship, because I was rejected a lot in my family, rejected a lot by my peers growing up. I have had a habit of choosing men who were emotionally unavailable. Like, I mean, even when we were together and they said that they loved me, neither one of us were really mature enough for it. We weren't ready for it. We weren't a compatible match. And yet I still felt that I had to fight for their attention. You know, like if I earned their love, then I would be worthy of it. So, for instance, what's a good example I can use where I had kind of an aha moment? There are times when I know that I'm feeling insecure about something where I will kind of talk myself through it. So, okay, I'll just use the most recent example. I'm going to Scotland in a little over a week. I connected with this Italian dude who's over there, and like I'm really excited to go meet him and to experience Scotland, but I hadn't heard from him for several days. And so I started feeling really anxious about it and started getting really frustrated. And I had to start going back through, okay, why do I feel frustrated with that? Well, because I don't know if he's changed his mind. And I know, like, looking back on it, that the reason why I feel nervous about the possibility of someone changing their mind is because it's happened a lot. You know, always being told when I was growing up by, like, my mom, we're going to do this. And she had the best of intentions, but plans would always fall through. Or, you know, being in relationships with men who constantly stood me up, you know, who kind of treated me like I was a trophy on their shelf, but then never took the time to spend with me And a lot of times not even acknowledging that, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it, or hey, I'm sorry, I have to change plans. I just had to sit there and wait and figure out that they weren't showing up, you know? And so then I had to go through and go, okay, like, well, first of all, he's halfway across the world. Second of all, you know, he wasn't feeling well recently. Third of all, he could be busy with work. He could be busy with someone else. He could be just not wanting to talk to anybody. Why do I feel like attention from him is what is, like, necessary to make me happy? Well, because if I don't get that validation, if he just, like, ghosts me, then I feel like I did something wrong. I'm like, well, what would I have done that was wrong? Well, maybe I'm not interesting enough. And so, you know, I kind of had to go through and tell myself, like, you know, it's okay if someone decides that they're not interested in you. Would a heads up be great? Yeah, but they're not necessarily obligated to do that. You know, and then I was like, well, you know, what if I messaged him too much? And I'm like, Amber, you've messaged him twice in 4 days. And you asked a legitimate question this last time. So if that's too much for him, that's his issue. Like, it has no reflection on you. But you're also sitting here making judgments based on information you don't have. You know, and it's a really long process sometimes. But it's all about not just necessarily reassuring yourself that, hey, everything's going to be okay, but really observing, like, where does the insecurity lie? What's reasonable about it? And what needs to maybe be altered in its perception, you know? And even if it's part of it too was like, well, what if everything falls through? And then I had to tell myself, well, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you make plans and things just don't happen. So I did hear from him, by the way, just so you know. But anyway, why else should group 1 feel confident about whatever this is? About their capabilities, about their worth, about the situation itself. We have the 5 of Swords in reverse, which can talk about a lack of combativeness. Okay, so can you clarify this 5 of Swords in reverse? Death in reverse. I want to get one more clarifier for that. The 9 of Cups. Okay. So I'm getting a couple of messages. Oh, we have the King of Wands on the bottom of the deck. Yes. Which I don't always do bottom of the deck energy, but to me that signifies, like, you are your own master. You are your own creator. You have the capabilities to make change happen or to achieve what it is that you want. But anyway, one thing I want to say with this 5 of Swords in reverse is really look at what's causing the resistance in your life. Is it other people? Is it outside circumstances? Or is it you? Are you creating the resistance? Are you creating the conflict? Not like, okay, so when I say that, what I mean is, like, okay, say you're at work and you hear someone talking and they're kind of in a quiet whisper. And you might be concerned, like, are they talking about me? Well, why are you thinking that? You know, is this somebody that you have had consistent problems with in the past? Are they giving you the side eye? Did you hear your name? Or are you just kind of a little paranoid? You know, it's all about context of the situation. Or if, like, you are choosing not to pursue something, like, if you just, like, if there's a writing contest and you would love to participate, but you decide, like, no, I'm not going to waste my time doing that. Like, there's no way that I win. Okay, so who's really causing the issue here? Who's really stopping the progress? It's not the contest itself. It's you. You're not even putting forth the effort into it. But one thing I see here as well is the reason why you should feel more confident about the situation is because if you put your arms down, if you surrender, that's not going to make you any happier. That's not going to change how you feel about yourself. And I know that's kind of a weird way to frame like a sense of confidence, but sometimes we have to look at what we're doing and realize like how will it impact us. And the way it's going to impact you is if you just keep to yourself, if you don't use your voice, if you never go for what you want, that's not going to change anything. That's not going to change how confident or how satisfied you are in your life. Okay? So, how can you achieve this confidence? Well, friend, I will help you figure that out. So, we have follow your heart. Listen to your heart. Don't take it personally. Take the weight of the world off your shoulders. Prioritize self-care, 24. I'm going to have to... I asked for one card with each, and the universe said, no, we're going to give you more. 23 with pray from your heart. And then card number 3 with sensitivity and strength in reverse. And we're going to put that there. Okay. We have a lot of advice here. So, for one, follow your heart. I'm always rewarded when I follow my heart. I trust that the GPS in my heart knows all the best routes. And when it seems like it's taking too long to get where I want, I know that's because there's some cool, weird stuff to see along the way. Stop selling yourself short. Stop relinquishing the reins to the chariot. There's a song by Incubus where it says, will I let the fear take the wheel and steer? And that's your choice. But if you let yourself be a passive passenger in your life, you're not going to live a life of fulfillment. And I'll tell you what, fulfillment is worth the risk of being scared. It's worth the sense of discomfort. It's worth the experience of not succeeding sometimes. We're not going to be perfect at everything. We're not going to succeed with everything, but it doesn't mean it's not worth the try. Then we have don't take it personally. If someone starts to speak unkindly to me, I'll remember that they've got something going on that has nothing to do with me. Like maybe they just pooped their pants. Yeah, that's probably it. I work in a nursing home, so that happens a lot, the pooping the pants. But, there may have been instances where people said harsh words to you, or you did feel like they rejected you, or they overlooked you or underestimated you. Sometimes people have genuine critiques that they can offer us on how we can improve or why we may not be benefiting from a situation or beneficial to a situation. Like, that's just the reality of it, If I apply for a job and there are 5 other people who are in line for it and there's only one position available, like, someone is going to be a better match than the other 4. Like, that's just how it is. But not every circumstance needs to be taken to heart. People have a lot of shit going on, okay? And sometimes we struggle to see outside of our own realities and our own perspectives. And I know it can be very difficult to kind of shrug things off, especially if you're a sensitive person like myself. But that is a skill that can be developed, okay? And that will require you to build confidence, and it will also help you in building confidence. Take the weight of the world off your shoulders. So, first of all, I'm going to say this might apply to what's going on with the conflict. And in that respect, like, you might be somebody who's very sensitive, who just wants to barge in and help everyone who's being affected. And that is lovely, but you are only one person. Like, you cannot do everything completely yourself. Like, for instance, when the war in Ukraine started, I had a Ukrainian elderly patient that I was caring for, and so it's when something becomes more personal, because I don't have any connection really to the Ukraine, like to Ukraine. I have a friend who's from Ukraine, from high school. And then that patient, but I've never been to Ukraine. I don't have any family from Ukraine. And so like I cared about this situation on a level of like, there are people over there and what Putin is doing is wrong. But when I became really close with the patient, that's when it became very personal to me, and I saw how it affected her and her family. And I wanted to support like every level of assistance that there was. But I couldn't, I'm only one person. So I donated a little bit here and there to like medical funds and to military funds. I went to Dollar Tree and I bought a whole bunch of like basic supplies that was sent over to Poland for refugees. But at the end of the day, like I can't fix the world. What this card does say though, whether this is about that situation or whether it's about a different situation, this is a card that is related to the throat chakra. So this is about speaking your truth. Don't hold back your truth. You don't need to make yourself quieter so that other people feel comfortable. You don't need to keep your voice down just because you feel like you might not be somebody that others would listen to. If you have something to say, say it. Say it for yourself. Other people might need to hear it. And this could definitely talk about being someone who is like proactive in like human rights or like educational efforts, but this could also just really talk about like remove the judgment, the fear of judgment that others will have on you, and just be authentic to yourself. We have 24 with prioritize self-care, which says you do so much for others. It's time for you to experience the love you deserve and let others help you. And so I really do feel that by and large, a lot of you who are watching this have probably just become very accustomed to accommodating other people. And it's time for you to focus on yourself and learn to accept help from others. Then we have 23, pray from the heart. Prayer can really move mountains. Reach out to the divine with your heart's concerns and watch miracles unfold. Now, I will say this. Sentiments such as, my thoughts and prayers are with you. That's not doing much for real world issues. Whether that's something like, that's related to supporting people who are being affected by war, or whether that's sympathizing with somebody who's lost a loved one. Like, there's a certain level of condolence in it. Yes, that's appreciated. But at the end of the day, like, physical action is what makes a difference, largely. However, I will say that like prayer can be beneficial. I do feel that it helps in concentrating a person's like energetic intentions. And it can really be a source of relief because I think it helps us connect to basically the universe, but also really helps us kind of meditate and find comfort. And then we have sensitivity and strength in reverse, and it says tapping the forces within. In reverse, it talks about don't be afraid of your sensitivity. Your sensitivity is a gift. Use it, okay? And and that's one thing we want to focus on here is not being passive. You know, this home card in reverse, don't just like quarantine yourself away from the world and be mousy. Like, take action. You're going to have to get back into that Chariot energy, because without doing that, you're not going to see any change in your life. Okay, pile one, like, I know it's scary to actually move forward, but that's what it's going to take for you to succeed. So we're going to get some charms to close this message out. Okay. So we have the scissors. Now, scissors can mean crafting something. We use scissors to reshape things, to prepare things so that we can like glue them together or sew them together. You know, it's one of the first processes that we might utilize in order to create something new. I also kind of look at the scissors as like cutting cords. You know, cutting cords of fear, of doubt, of stress. This could even be considered something like cutting a cord of like the red string of fate, you know, cutting a fate cord and just deciding like I'm taking charge of my life. We have the diamond, which I think is really a testament to your value. You know, you don't necessarily see how precious you are, but in the eyes of the universe, like, you are a gem. And diamonds are not only beautiful, but they are so strong and resilient. We have this beautiful heart that says made with love, pile number one. You are a sensitive soul, and that is beautiful. You are made with love. And so you can look at that not only, though, as like you are made of love for other people, but and when you feel insignificant or insecure, remember, you were made with love. You are loved. And then we have the Eastern Asian dragon. Okay, so that is a symbol of good luck. Okay, you've got good luck coming your way, but you have to be someone who reaches for it. It's not just going to fall into your lap. So group number one, I hope that you enjoyed this reading. If it resonated, please let me know how in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, I'd give it a thumbs up if I were you, please. I'm not you, but I could be. But I don't know. I'm just rolling with it. If you haven't subscribed yet but would like to be a part of our family, hit that button and also the notification bell so you're alerted to whenever I upload a new video. And I am offering private readings. You can find my contact information in the description down below so that we can start a discussion about your needs for a personal reading. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye. Hello, group number two. You chose the card number 10 with coins, and good luck. So this is going to be a reading on what you shouldn't worry about. These cards are going to give us information about your situation. These cards are going to be the advice, so we're going to put them aside over here, and then we will utilize the Wise Dog Tarot to get deeper information about like why you're feeling insecure about something and why you shouldn't feel insecure about it. We're also going to get some charms, which I forgot to mention in the very beginning. It's been a while since I've used those, so I'm really excited. Anyway, let's get started. So we have card number 10 with coins and good luck. We have the card Ziggurat of Ur. Or I'm not entirely sure. We have card number 38 with Imam Kohli and Root. Card number 37 with Descendant and Invitation in the reverse. And then we have card number 10 with Master Manifester. So we have 2 10s here, which is always really interesting to see repeating numbers. 10s are a completion of a cycle, and then if you break it down to 1, that's like, that can symbolize numerology like new beginnings, but also when you look at tarot, 1 is the card of the magician, and the magician is, in fact, a master manifester. The magician is someone who can manipulate their surroundings into exactly what it is that they want. They can alter their skills. We also have 38, which breaks down into 11, and then 37, which breaks down into 10. So 111 might be significant, or 1011, 1110. But we do seem to have a lot of repeating numbers here, or numbers that seem significant. And what's on this card here? 2020. That could have been a significant year for you, or maybe that's a a sign. But anyway, let's get into it. I feel like I need to adjust this a little bit. Whew. So right away, what we're seeing is that there is a concern that something you wish to achieve is not going to occur. So we have good luck here and the Master Manifester. When we think of good luck, we think of something that happens to us by accident, by chance, but a Master Manifester is typically somebody who does something intentionally. So there seems, I think, to be a lack of confidence that you may be experiencing in your ability to create or achieve out of your own skills. When we look at the Imam Kohli with the root, that talks about the very roots of our childhood, or the roots of our beliefs. So that goes into, what were significant events that occurred in the past? What kind of relationships do we have with ourselves in the past? What kind of relationships do we have with our family in the past? And then we have the descendant invitation in reverse. So the ascendant sign, which is your first house sign. So like mine is Libra. That's how we present ourselves to the world. So for instance, my ascendant is in Libra, which means I try to appear to be balanced, and somebody who is likable or desirable, somebody that you want to have on your side, somebody who is kind to you and favorable to you, somebody who might look good on your arm. I don't know what my descendant is. Shit. But the descendant is how you view people, or the kind of people or situations that you bring into your life. It's our relationship between ourselves and others. And so with a descendant in reverse, that can talk about like a codependency on others. We all have deficits, right? We all have weaknesses. We all have areas where we might not be the smartest or the most skilled or the most talented. And at the end of the day, other people will be able to produce in those areas better than we can. And that's not a negative thing, and it's not a negative thing to acknowledge like, hey, I'm really bad at managing my finances, but my partner over here is like really great at it. And so we've kind of come up with a plan where they typically are the ones who do the budgeting. But, when I want to invest in something or have an extra expenditure, then I go to them and we discuss how it fits into the plan. Like, okay, fine. Yeah, that's reasonable. But the descendant in reverse would talk about relying too much on that person's skill. So for instance, just kind of for instance, if your partner is budgeting, you might take advantage of that by just kind of spending whatever you want instead of consulting with them, because you would expect them to kind of pick up the slack and make sure that finances were in order. In the first scenario, there's a little bit of a compromise. You're communicating what your needs are or what your interests are, and you're coming up with a plan to see, can we fit that in the budget? In the second scenario, it's, I'm just going to do it and my partner will figure it out, And so it's really interesting here. And we have these cards that talk about like our relationships, especially with our past and our family, and not really being secure in our capabilities, but instead relying upon other people. Now, when we look at the Ziggurat of Ur, so this card is a very unique, comes from a very unique deck. Each card is a location or a site, and it's broken down into 3 parts. So we have the bottom, which is the past, the middle, which is the present, and the top, which is the future. And the objective of this deck is like when you look at a card that you pulled, you see, okay, which area do you resonate with? And then, say like, I feel really drawn to the middle portion of it. Well, then there's a lesson for me about my present situation. We're not going to break it down. Each card is, despite which area you feel drawn to, correlated with a very specific topic. And in this card, it relates to sexuality. And so the Ziggurat of Ur talks about the goddess Ishtar, and her relationship to sexuality and confidence. There's also this card also refers in the present area of this moon god Nana, I think. And I know we typically associate moon energy with feminine energy, but I'm learning that in ancient civilizations, the sun actually represented feminine energy and the moon represented masculine energy, because the sun was considered life-giving. But there was a shift in the perspective when civilizations, when ancient peoples realized that sexual activity was the reason for copulation, and it wasn't just, a woman kind of growing like a child within her on her own. And so then it was then shifted to this perspective of, oh, men are actually the true life bearers. And so that's why we saw a shift in who was represented by what celestial energy. So this card talks about, how do you feel about your sexuality? Are you confident in your sexuality? Are you inhibiting yourself? Are you denying a truth of who you are? And so when I'm looking at these cards all together, this makes me feel that there's a concern in regards to if you'll be able to achieve the kind of family that you want. And it might be a traditional family, where it's like you and a partner and 2.5 kids. It might be you and a partner and no kids. It might be you and no partner and kids. It might be you and multiple partners. It's whatever I believe family means to you. And so you might have had a broken home, or you might have had people in your life kind of, maybe you're older and they're telling you, oh, like, you're really cutting it close, like you need to find somebody right now, like you're not getting any younger. Or maybe you've always felt like you were compared against other people, and that you were treated as like less desirable or as less of like a prospective partner, or that maybe, maybe just because of the examples you've had in your life, you worry about your ability to be a parent or to be a good partner or to draw a good partner in. And so we're going to see if we can get a little information about like why this insecurity exists. We did cover, I think, quite a bit of possibilities just now, but it doesn't help to, it doesn't hurt to get a little more information. So I'm just going to kind of move this guy. And, I'll say this with this master manifester, this crow right here wants to create. And the spider is all about creation. So the spider comes to help the crow, but the crow is scared of it at first. But through, you can see there's this like disembodied eye. It's like through this higher perspective, these two creatures, one which would normally be the predator and the next one, its prey, are able to coexist and work together cooperatively. Okay, so what are the origins of this fear? The Seven of Wands. So the Seven of Wands is a very defensive energy. It feels like having to protect yourself. It feels as if outside forces are potential enemies, And so I feel like this does signify maybe there have been relationships in the past that have been very toxic, or a household that you grew up in that was very toxic, very combative. Oh, the Three of Cups in reverse with the Ace of Cups in reverse. There was just no harmony. No, because the Three of Cups is about celebration, It's about, hey, here's a pineapple for anybody who's I just recently learned that the pineapple can be a symbol for swingers. So, hey. But pineapples also indicate friendship. Pineapples are also really good, I guess, for extracurricular activities and making them more enjoyable. So, take that for what you will. But, you don't do things to the pine. Okay, I'm getting off topic here. But if you're curious, research it, as long as you're over the age of 18. So the Three of Cups is about celebration and friendship and enjoying company. The Ace of Cups is about a new beginning, the materialization of new feelings, something that can be further explored. And in these situations, both of them are in the reverse. And so this could further reaffirm that there was trauma in your household growing up. This could also talk about, searching for a partner and not really having much success, which can, I see how that can absolutely cause insecurity. Like, I kind of worry about that too as I get older, and I got the Ace of Pentacles here. And as I've kind of fine-tuned my needs and my standards and my expectations and seeing like how that's limited me, because I'll tell you what, if you have no standards, then at the end of the day, you can be with anybody. but once you start having things like, okay, this is the kind of person that I feel I really would benefit from having as a partner. These are like my non-negotiables. This is the stuff that is negotiable. Then it can become more difficult. Okay, what's this Ace of Pentacles about? Yep. Okay. So there's this insecurity that's also stemming from feeling a need to be practical, especially for those of us who are getting older. And older can be relative. So I'm going to Scotland soon, and one of my co-workers, she is Filipino, and she was like, you better come. She was teasing me, of course. But she was like, you better come back with someone. I'm tired of hearing about all these dates you go on and you're like, oh, it's not going to work out. It's not going anywhere. And I'm like, Ma, I'm only going over there for a few days. I'm not looking for anything serious. And she's like, how old are you? And I was like 34. And she was like, it's been long enough. It's been enough time. Well, so I was talking to another coworker of mine, a nurse who is Korean. And I was like, man, that must be what they talk about when they talk about what it's like having an Asian mom. And she was like, oh, yeah. She was like, my mom told me that by the time I was 18, that I was too old. And I mean, we both kind of had a laugh about it. I don't know her mother, so I don't know if her mother was like being facetious, and just kind of joking around, or if she was feeling like 18 was seriously like too old. But that just, is going to show like the differences of opinions in when, the prime age for something like a partnership is. I also remember reading about how if you're familiar, like sometimes in the Western world, like way back, they used to call women spinsters if they weren't married by a certain age. Well, then apparently there's another term for that, if you're over the age of 25, you were called a thornback if you weren't married. So I feel like this is really, there's this insecurity of like, okay, I need to get practical about this. I'm not finding this emotional fulfillment and this emotional connection. So maybe, I need to think a little bit more about what my options are, because we've also got the Eight of Cups in reverse. Now that's talking about sticking around, leaving the door open for something. And we've got the Eight of Wands here, which is all about very fast travel. And then the High Priestess. The High Priestess is somebody who is mysterious. And I would say that, especially in this context, the High Priestess might be a person, an archetype that would be considered older. She might be closer to like the Mother and the Crone than the Maiden, because she has acquired a lot of knowledge. And so I feel as if with this Eight of Cups in reverse, what this is talking about is that there's this feeling of like urgency in moving forward with something. If the Eight of Cups were upright and we were talking about this situation, this might be a card that indicates a higher level of comfort with being independent and going, you know what, I will find someone when the time is right. I'm not going to settle for less. But with this card in reverse, under these circumstances, this can definitely talk about somebody who's like, well, maybe I need to reconsider. Maybe I'm asking for too much, or maybe I'm not good enough for what it is that I want. I don't, beggars can't be choosers, So I feel definitely that time seems like it's kind of one of the primary issues for you. So let's see like why Spirit says you shouldn't be worried about it. Why should you be confident instead? Oh my God, we got the Sun and the Moon. Oh my God, you guys, I don't think I have ever had these two cards pop out this way. Holy shit. And I think this is such a beautiful message. Oh, the moon is all about illusions or secrets. But it's also connected to like our higher self. It's connected to intuition. And then the sun is about opportunity and happiness and joy. And interestingly, many sun cards depict a person like an angel on a horseback, or I have another card where it kind of depicts like an angel holding a child. And so that does typically represent fertility as well. So to me, what this signifies is that even when things are confusing, there is still reason to have fun. There is still the right that you have to feel happy and to feel confident. It's kind of like, instead of worrying about why it hasn't happened yet, you can look at this as an opportunity to explore. Maybe online dating is a good option for you. I know for me, it's been very beneficial because like it allows me to, yes, make a connection with somebody and see if there's chemistry, but also to be more logical about it instead of like developing feelings for somebody that isn't really compatible with me, but then I get stubborn and I'm like, oh, it'll work itself out. No, Amber, it won't necessarily. I mean, come on, let's be realistic. This could encourage you to go speed dating. This could be like, hey, I'm going to another country. Let's see if we can meet the locals. Let's see if I can find a cute tour guide. This could be I really want this family, and I want to find someone that is compatible with me, and I want to build a life with them and build a family with them in whatever way that means to you, but I don't know when or how that's going to happen. And I know that I'm not going to find someone just moping on my couch, So I'm going to get out there. I'm going to explore my interests. I'm going to go check out new cafes and little diners that I haven't been to. I'm going to go for walks in the park. I'm going to go to local music shows and little dive bars. I'm going to join and start doing like some volunteering for a cause that I feel passionate about. Like I'm gonna find things about life that I just love, that fill me with zest and passion. And I'm going to enjoy my existence knowing that even though I don't know when I will find somebody or when this relationship will happen or who it will be, knowing that I have lived my life to the fullest and knowing that by doing so, that will draw someone in. Because, when people can be very magnetized when we are feeling confident, when we are doing things that we actually enjoy and when we are feeling happy with ourselves. A lot of people can just kind of feel that energy of when someone is closed off and that may prevent some connections from coming towards you. But when you're feeling confident and happy and full of life and everything, like people are drawn to that, they're magnetized to that. They're like, wow, they see that confidence and they see it as like, this internal beauty just radiating out. So we have death in reverse here. And what that means to me is that there's no reason that you need to change, honey. Like there's nothing about you that the universe is like, okay, so we need to work that, you know, it's not your sense of style. It's not the sense of humor that you enjoy. It's not your passions in life. Like, there's nothing about you that needs to change. There's nothing about you that is the core of who you are that is like pushing anybody away. You are good enough. You are beautiful enough. You are capable enough. You are worthy enough. Like, you are somebody's ideal. And you don't need to change a thing. God, what's that song? Well, there's "You Are Beautiful in Every Single Way. Yes, words can't bring you down." But there's another one. Oh, I don't know what song it was. Anyway, feel confident because you know it's not you. Like, you're not repelling people away by existing, okay? And then another reason why group 2 should feel confident about their situation. It's interesting. We have all these major arcana right here, guys. The King of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles, guys. Holy shit. For some of you, there may actually be somebody already in your life who has taken an interest in you. And is working towards trying to build up like the strength that they need to come forward. You know, this is somebody who also is that practical person, you know, because we've got the King of Pentacles and we've got the Seven of Pentacles. It's all earth energy. That's very practical. That's someone who's thinking about stability. It's not like this isn't the most romantic energy, like when we're looking at it, but I'll tell you guys, like, this is the person who's going to work for it. This is, and I think that is hugely romantic. This is the person who is going to help you carry the groceries into the car. This is the person who, if you worked together or something and your car broke down or you didn't have a car, would be the person to pick you up every single day, even if they had to go out of their way. This is the person who pays attention to the things that you like. So when your birthday or Christmas or whatever holiday comes around, they can get you the thing that they know that you will appreciate. Or sometimes they might just go for a practical gift, you know, if they don't have enough attention to detail. Otherwise, if this person isn't in your life already, there will be somebody coming through soon, I think. Even though, I mean, earth energy tends to be the slowest energy, but I do think that this is talking about somebody who I would say within the next 5 years, which I know to some of us isn't very soon. Like, I'm 34 and I'm like, do I really want to be 39 when I meet somebody? But obviously I'm looking at this as a range up to 5 years. But this is somebody who will work to get your attention. They will put the effort in. They will make time for you. They will take your needs into consideration. You know, they will put in the effort to show you that they are dependable and reliable and appreciative of you. So, okay. The Emperor in reverse is on the back of the deck, which can talk about a need to sit back. There is not a thing that you need to do. Okay, guys? You don't need to be in your masculine energy, whether, you know, you're feminine, masculine, non-binary, whatever it is. You know, we all have the mixture of energies, but you don't need to be the person to make things happen in this situation. It's going to come to you. You are a master manifester. You're just doubting yourself, hon. Let it go. You can do it. this King of Pentacles is coming. This King of Pentacles is somebody who's going to be serious about you, okay? This person is not going to be wishy-washy. They're not going to be there just for your booty. They're not going to be there until you get old, you know, and then go, bye, boo. Like, I'm going to go find someone prettier or younger. Like, this person is the kind of person who will stick it through thick and thin. Okay, so, statistically speaking, and I think this is from a Western world perspective, maybe even just a US perspective. I'm not entirely sure if this applies to other countries in the Western world, but there was a study that showed that, like, men who became very ill or injured, if they had female partners, those female partners tended to stick around, you know, and help care for them. In the reverse situation, the masculine partners of females who were ill or injured typically abandoned them. And I will tell you what, I have seen some amazing partnerships on both sides in my field, you know, and I have seen some very wonderful men who come in and take care of their wives day after day after day without a second thought. They're there, you know, they're spending quality time. They're getting on our ass to make sure that we're doing what we need to do. They are staying informed about the necessary cares of their loved one. That's the kind of person this person's going to be. They're not going to just decide one day that they're not into it anymore. They're not superficial like that. So how can you attain this level of confidence? All right, we're going to look at the messages here. So we have options. I clear my energy field. We've got a lot of purple here, guys. And I'll tell you what, purple is all about, like, your crown chakra, your connection to the universe, to spirituality. It also talks about royalty, though. Remember, you are royalty. We've got card number 12, embrace your life purpose. And then 14 with family tree and expansion and legacy in reverse, okay? So, with options, it says, as I open to the abundant possibilities of my life's path, I'm reminded that I always have unlimited options. Life is a buffet, and I allow myself to choose whatever makes me happiest without limiting thoughts like, you can't put mac and cheese on your baked potato. So, one way exactly that you can feel more confident, embrace this confidence, is not by limiting yourself. And it's so hard to do for those of us who've, like, had our brains, like, even subconsciously trained to do that, just kind of expect the worst, or to put the blame on ourselves, or to think that, like, we're only capable of so much. Get rid of that negative thinking. Get rid of thinking that you need to settle for less. Get rid of thinking that you're getting too old. Get rid of thinking that you're not good enough, okay? That's going to take some time. But what you can do is you can kind of talk yourself through the insecurities and find out, like, why do you feel that way? How did that insecurity develop? Is that an accurate perception? And so does something external need to change? Or is it an inaccurate perception and something internal needs to change? You can do, like, daily affirmations. You can do meditations. You can do, what is it? Like, gratitude journals. There are a million different ways in which you can begin to work on the process of building yourself up. You know, and it's also really important, like, you don't necessarily expect things to happen a certain way, because then when they don't happen, or if they don't happen in that way, it can be very devastating for us, you know, and it kind of limits our perspective. We start to just feel as if our options are limited when in reality they're not. I clear my energy field. Now, this is a card that's directly related to the crown chakra, so you may want to do like crown chakra meditations. You may want to do crown chakra journaling. There are some really great prompts that you can find all across the internet. I found that like Pinterest is a really good resource where you can research for these, just different prompts that will help you kind of focus in on your crown chakra and how you can expand it. Clearing your energy field can also talk about clearing your clearing your negative thoughts out, or it can talk about clearing out negative people from your life. Maybe you've got family or friends who are just kind of really pressuring you and not being supportive. They may think that they're being supportive, but they're actually being rude and ignorant, and you may need to either call them out on it or clear them out. This could also talk about like physically clearing out your energy. Like maybe you need to do some cleaning at your house, your car, your office. Maybe you need to do some more organizing. Maybe you need to do some purging of things, just something to get like that energy moving again. With this Embrace Your Life Purpose card, it says, I am guiding you towards your divine life purpose. Whatever makes your heart joyful is what you're meant to be doing. So sometimes, like, think of it like, a watched pot never boils, or a watched kettle never boils. So while we're sitting here thinking about, man, I really want a partner. When am I going to find a partner? I'm getting older. We're putting all of that focus onto something, and it's harder to see any results, So when we spend our time doing other things, then we can allow life to take its natural course, and all of a sudden it's like bada bing, bada boom. Change happened. I'm looking at this woman is kind of writing her own story, and then we've got this cat, and this cat makes me think of curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. So what would you do with your life if you weren't focused on your concerns about a family, or a partner? Like, how would you live your life? And this cat also has 9 lives, in the saying. And it's like, kind of like looking up at that butterfly. It's like each new life brings transformation. Okay. And then the family tree in reverse with the expansion and legacy. There was something I feel was pretty poignant about this card. Oh yeah, this actually talks about roots. And about this sense of feeling disconnected when this card is in reverse, but understanding that like these roots are pointing in the direction of the heavens. And so taking this as a sign that like you and your family, whether it's your spiritual family, whether it's your passed on loved ones, whether it's your current family that maybe you're at a distance from, or maybe it's the family that you want to have someday, you are connected to them. Like you're never separate from them, okay? Pile 2, I am coming to you from the future because I forgot to do your charms. So please ignore the really crappy fingernail polish, and let's get into it. So we have Cancer here with 69 and 69. I'm sorry. It's imaginative. I'm sorry. You know where my mind's at. So the Cancer symbol can indicate that maybe you are more nurturing of others, but you have a protective shell around you. So it might be time to soften that a little bit. We have the heart with the rose, and that makes me think of allowing love to grow. And this could just mean like also, a romantic interest coming in. We have the television that's offline, so it might be best for you to kind of detach from electronics for a little while. And then we have Moulin Rouge with the windmill. So I think of like the Netherlands with this, but I also think of, self-sustaining power, supply, or, the song Moulin Rouge. He met on a Moulin rouge, strutting the stuff for the street. She said, hello, hey Joe, you want to give it a go? But you know, this could also mean like maybe you need to take a little vacation. All right, so now we're going to get to the real ending. Bye, guys. So pile number 2, I hope that this was useful for you. If you enjoyed this reading, please give it a thumbs up. And if it resonated, let me know how in the comment section down below. If you'd like to join our family and haven't yet, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. Also, I do offer personal readings. If you are interested in that, go ahead and find my contact information in the description box down below and send me an email and we'll get talking. Bye. Hey, group number 3, you chose the card that says 21, recycle, recover. And this is going to be a reading about what you shouldn't worry about. These cards here are going to indicate the situation that you're worried about. We have these cards, which are advice from the universe, and we're going to set these bad boys aside. Where? Who the hell knows? Then we're going to be using the tarot, the Wise Dog Tarot, to look into more specifics, like where the origin of this worry comes from, and then why you shouldn't be worried. In fact, why you should be confident. And later we're going to use some charms. So let's get into it. We have card number 21 with hello again, recycle and recover. We have the card Aphrodisias. We have the card 29 with Cirrus and Nurture in reverse. Then we have card number 22 with No Expectations. And then card number 32 with Just Trust. So first of all, I really like how the Aphrodisias and the Just Trust card have similar color palettes. I really like that soft, beautiful purple and yellow. And I think it's really interesting that we have a contrast between the Just Trust card, where it's very colorful, and then the No Expectations card, where it's pretty black and white. I mean, we got a little bit of brown, a little bit of gold here, but this, I feel like, potentially relates to a past connection, because we have this hello again, recycle, recover. So there may be somebody from your past that you are wishing to unite with. This could talk about, though, recovering from past loss. Now, some of this message does feel similar to pile number 2, so if you were drawn to that, I would encourage you to watch it. I think sometimes we can get similar messages that have enough of a difference that they get kind of split, because maybe the circumstances are different, or maybe the timing is different. But sometimes we can be drawn to messages that are similar because they might have information for us in both of them. Now, the Aphrodisias card, this is a very interesting card. This deck is segmented into 3 pieces, and it's all locations or sites. And so the bottom down here is supposed to represent the past, the middle, the present, and the top, the future. And the intention of this card and deck is that you feel drawn to one area and then you choose that, and it has a message for you. We're not going to delve that deeply into it. There is a common theme, though, here about love. So this represents like Aphrodite or Venus, and how she's been an emblem of female sexuality and empowerment for millennia. Okay. And she has this goal to unite us with love. And that can talk about personal love. That can talk about love between another. This Aphrodisias site is in Turkey. And at one point in time, it was repurposed into a shrine for Ishtar, which actually was a notable figure in pile number 2. And then after that, it was repurposed again into a Christian temple. So part of the card is talking about, you know, who kind of took away our power in love, who minimized us. And I believe it's so beautiful how we have the two swans down here. You know, like the swans represent a lot of times soulmates. Now, with this Sirius Nurture in Reverse card, Sirius is, this card talks a lot about harvest, okay? And it's, I think it's an asteroid, and it's connected to the Roman version of Demeter. God, what was her name? Great, now I'm going to have to pull out my book. Demeter, I believe, was the mother of Persephone, and so the equivalent here, oh my God, so literally Ceres is her name, but her daughter was Prosperina. Is it Prosperina? Proserpina, excuse me, Proserpina, something of that nature. Anyway, when her daughter was taken into the underworld, she threatened to basically rob the life of, like, the crops, you know, make it winter, make it fall, and then therefore, like, starve the people out until her daughter was returned to her. Now, with this card being in reverse, this can talk about a lack of fertility, a lack of growth, and so you may feel as if this is about a specific connection, there may be an insecurity that this person will not come back. Especially if you've been feeling like the universe has been kind of telling, like if you've been interpreting messages from the universe that this person will return, or that this cycle isn't over. And this can also talk about feeling as if you're not going, like, you know, you're past the point of connecting with others. Maybe you feel that you've become too jaded, or you're too old, or, you know, just having like a demeaning perception of yourself and your desirability to others. And I think, you know, we have no expectations and just trust. And I feel like this can be taken in two ways. So no expectations talks about this jaguar, okay, this panther, and it representing the feminine and the feminine's ability to delve into the darkest depths, like, and work on her shadows, you know, and not expect instant gratification, but pursue a situation for the long haul. And then just trust is all about this mole here who can't see, can't hear, can't taste well, but he still finds his way because he can feel the vibrations, you know? So he makes it to the surface here. And we've got this seedling, which once again talks about allowing ourselves to be patient, to wait for things to prosper. So I feel like on one hand, this is the universe kind of guiding you to, like, okay, you know, just set your expectations aside. Don't try to force a narrative onto the situation, and just trust that something will come along, whether it's with this person or someone else. But this could also represent the two moods that you get into. You know, maybe there are times when you just are like, no expectations, you know, you feel maybe more negative about the situation or disparaged. And then you may experience moments of being like really bubbly and like, I'm just going to trust, like everything is going to be okay. Like it's all going to work out. So we are going to see where this insecurity comes from, because I do feel it's important to look at the root of it. You know, sometimes it's something like very specific pertaining to this situation. Like maybe you've always been confident in your relationships, but this person, you know, maybe you haven't heard from them and they promised that they would come back, you know, or this could be something like an insecurity that's coming in that has deeper roots to your past. Maybe you've had a string of really negative relationships, or maybe you never had consistency, you know, in your life. So where does this insecurity stem from? Oh, we were just talking about balance and inconsistency, the Two of Pentacles. And that can also talk about weighing your options and making decisions on a practical level. The Ten of Wands in reverse. The Four of Cups. And the Ten of Cups in reverse. So right here, this Four of Cups and upright is talking about withholding your emotions, you know, and not letting anybody in and not letting anything out. And then this Ten of Cups in reverse. I mean, the Ten of Cups is all about fulfillment. It's all about emotional fulfillment, having your family feeling complete in your love life. But it's in reverse here. So you're holding back this desire that you have. You're trying to maintain your emotions, potentially because you have had a lot of things fall through, or because you're worried about it. It could also be that you had a really rough childhood. Maybe your family was broken in some way. If the parents stayed together, then maybe there was a lot of fighting, or maybe they split. Maybe you had an absent parent, or this could even be like kind of feeling as if your family, whether directly or indirectly, just kind of taught you not to be expressive and not to have expectations. I want to see what this Two of Pentacles is about. The King of Cups in reverse and the Four of Pentacles. Wow. Again, we've got another four. Now, fours can mean stability. And some, you know, when we look at the cards, the Four of Pentacles and the Four of Cups, we typically perceive those as like maybe negative, or stressful, experiences, you know, because we're like hoarding our resources or not letting others in, not connecting with others. But fours are about stability, you know. It's all about being able to maintain yourself. Now, the King of Cups in reverse, that could definitely talk about somebody who in your life. Maybe it is an absent father. But whatever it is, I feel like this is a very dominant energy, who I don't feel was emotionally healed. Somebody who may not have accepted their inner feelings, somebody who may not have been expressive, and I do feel that they kind of taught you, like, keep this close to your chest. You know, don't give too much. Or maybe they withheld their affection from you. So, like, maybe you're like me. Maybe you got daddy issues, you know? Like, and so that's created this insecurity in you where you feel like you have to earn love. So then, what's this Ten of Wands in reverse? The Sun in reverse. The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. I feel like then what this could talk about releasing the burden, the stress of moving towards or trying to create this life that you desire or this connection that you desire, because the chances seem slim. You know, the Sun in reverse can still be a very positive card, but it can also be this feeling of like trying to distance yourself from your hopes and your desires. This card could also talk about things falling through, you know, and that joy that you had experienced becoming kind of soured. And so I do feel that a lot of this wound, like this fear, comes from childhood or relationships where your expectations and your needs weren't met. And so now you are afraid to have any, you know? So why should you feel confident about this scenario instead? Why should you feel confident? Temperance. Just kidding. This is the Lovers. I don't know why I thought this was Temperance. Oh my gosh. Temperance, I think, might be something you have to practice. Just like myself. Oof. But the Lovers, okay, look at this card. There's like this post, right? And this heart that's wrapping around and connecting, unifying both of them. And there's the sun and there's the moon, black and white. And emanating from this heart is like this beautiful eagle or hawk or other large bird of just light, you know? It's like victory and success. So what I feel with that is that the universe is telling you, like, feel confident because you are meant to cross paths, you know, with someone who is going to help you be your balance. And if this is in relation to a certain person, I feel that this is confirmation again, like you are meant to reconnect with this person. Why else should group 2 feel group 3, excuse me, the Chariot. Look at these just coming out. Can we clarify the Chariot? I definitely do see this as indicating, you know, you are able to get yourself wherever you want to go. You might be feeling insecure about your capabilities to be a partner or to secure a partner, but the universe is saying, no, like, you got this. With the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So even if you feel like you don't have anything to offer, the universe is saying, like, you have the capability to move forward in the direction that you want. Even when you doubt yourself, just keep moving forward, you know? And then what else do we have? Why should group 3 feel confident about this situation? The Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Okay. Can we clarify that, please? The Queen of Swords in reverse. It's interesting that we've got these court cards coming out now. If this is about a specific person, I definitely feel as if this is reassuring you that this person isn't exploring other options. And especially if you haven't communicated with them, you know, don't feel concerned that they're going to, like, forget you, because I don't think that's possible in this situation. For those of the viewers who aren't asking about a specific person, though, like, can you clarify Eight of Wands. So Knights and the Eight of Wands are both travel cards. The Eight of Wands talks about moving swiftly, taking impulsive action. No, this is not the Eight of Wands. Oh, I hate this all the time. I wonder if this card came out and... This card always makes me think of Eight of Wands because I see the sticks. But it's the freaking Eight of Pentacles. Which makes more sense. But now I wonder, like, did this card pop? I think this card popped out in other readings. And then I classified it and, like, interpreted it as the Eight of Wands. It's only this deck, too. Only this one. So this is the Eight of Pentacles here. Which means that even if this isn't about a specific person, it means even without having a direction and even without knowing exactly what steps you need to take or how to achieve, like, you are going to be able to master this. The Eight of Pentacles is all about mastering something. And I know it's really frustrating when the universe is just kind of like, it's not giving you any details about, like, how you're going to achieve this. And that might be because it might be different for everybody. It could also be kind of hidden as a way to help you learn some lessons. You know, because if we're, like, for instance, math homework, if you struggle in math and you just cheat and take someone's answers off of their paper, like, you still don't really know how to do the problem. You just have the right answer. So the next time when you have a math problem in that same genre, like, you're not going to know what to do. We do have Justice in reverse on the bottom of the deck, which can talk about separation. It can also talk about being in unfair circumstances. You know, maybe someone has treated you poorly, or maybe your expectations of someone else might be unrealistic. But, ooh, hey, though. We have the Ace of Cups with the Seven of Cups and the Queen of Wands. And what that signifies to me is that there are new love offers coming in, honey. And you are going to have options, or you always have options, you know? And it's time for you to embrace that Queen of Wands. So we're going to get into your advice cards, and then we'll get into the charms here. So we have 43 with your eternal spirit, higher self, sacred intuition. We have my aura is magnetic to golden opportunities. We have number 1, all is in perfect timing. And then we have spontaneity. Oh, I do want to clarify too. There's a 10 numeric, like there's a 10 number difference between the just trust and the no expectations card, which it's kind of like, you know, once you complete a cycle with that 10, turns into a 1. It's a new beginning. Okay, so let's read spontaneity. Do you like spontaneous adventures of the highest caliber? The only acceptable answer to this question is yes. So buckle up, Charlie. There's a pretty good chance your name is not Charlie. You're about to take a wild ride through the unexplored, unconventional, and underrated. You're about to learn that yes is a magic word with the power to unlock new dimensions in space, time, and after-hours hangouts. Yes will lead you to experiences you didn't think possible and teach you that lifelong friendships are sometimes lurking just behind a karaoke singer's mullet. So this might be indicative of maybe you have kind of slowed down or stepped back from engaging in your life. And this might be a call for you to take on more of like an Eight of Wands energy. Be more spontaneous, book that vacation trip or go out with the person who asks you out next time or something. This is really a call for you to practice doing things without planning them and without creating expectations of them, because sometimes, like, I think for me, expectations are kind of the way I do things, I do plan a lot, or I do consider things a lot. And I think it's a little bit of a learned behavior that's kind of like pigeonholed me because I do it for everything. And so therefore, I am in this justice in reverse energy where I am imbalanced. It's like, if I don't feel 100% confident about something, if I haven't observed it from every angle, then it's very likely that I'm not going to do it. And so I do need to work on, like, with my social anxiety, engaging with more people. Or, with my depression, making sure, for one, that I'm taking my medication, but also getting outside of the house. Maybe going and doing an activity, things that will kind of help break me out of my habit of obsessively planning. 43, your eternal spirit, higher self, and sacred intuition. I feel like this does go with the My Aura is Magnetic to Golden Opportunities card, which is connected with the Kundalini. So the Kundalini is supposed to be like this huge spiritual upgrade, It's like this spiritual revolution that you go through, and it supposedly happens periodically throughout our lives. Something that can be kind of dormant, and then as we continue to do the work on ourselves, it kind of like energizes our different chakras. So, and I'm going to tell you right now, though, like these, I just keep looking at this and thinking of like little spermies. So I feel like your experience is going to be a little bit more fertile than you anticipated. But then this card talks about people seeing beyond just the physical part of you and you connecting with like your greater self. And so for one, I think this could talk about maybe you need to work on your different chakras, like especially like your root chakra and your heart chakra, but try to bring them all into balance. This could indicate that maybe you need to spend some time meditating, but I think this is also just kind of conditioning yourself to trust yourself, like you are a higher entity. We all are higher entities, like I think we all have the ability to connect with the divine. And I think we're all a part of the divine. And so I think the universe is really just encouraging you, to get that Queen of Wands energy, to realize like, I am the fire, I can bring it higher. I do have a playlist too on Spotify that's Goddess Energy. I posted about it in the community tab a long time ago, but maybe you need to find music that really makes you feel empowered. And then we have one, all is in perfect timing. This is it. It's time to take action now. I will be here to help you every step of the way. So what this indicates to me is that there is a door open, and you are getting closer to reaching your goal or achieving success in whatever it is that you want. But not only that, I will be here to help you. The universe has your back. The universe supports you. So if you've been feeling like the universe has kind of just cast you aside, let me assure you that is not the case. Okay? The universe embraces what it is that you desire and is working alongside you to help you receive it. So now we're going to get some charm messages. Oh, wow. We've got 2 scissors here. So So, for one, that could indicate that this might be a lesbian partnership, or you might enter into a lesbian partnership. And I'll say that because of the concept of scissoring. That was the first thing that came to mind. I do also often attribute scissors with like cutting cords and releasing negative energy, trimming apart things that, like, trimming away the things that you don't need or that don't benefit you, but also like crafting. You know, you cut fabric so that you can make clothes, or you cut construction paper to make pictures. So I think that this does represent, you know, there's this sense of duality here in the creation. Like, you are creating and the universe is creating for you. And then we have this cute little plushie. So that makes me think of like innocence and maybe approaching the situation from a more childlike perspective, you know, or doing some inner child healing. There could also be children that aren't, you know, children that are not you. Not children aren't you, but children that are involved. We have, or this could be an indication, like, especially if you are worried about fertility, like this could be an indication like that there is a child that you will be conceiving or bringing into your home. We have this high heel, which I always think of as like power, very much Queen of Wands energy, but it also makes me think of like, take some extra time, dress up, you know, put yourself, like, take care of yourself in a way that makes you feel confident. Because if we're just walking around in like sweats all day, with like hair in a ponytail, sometimes we can just kind of fall into this like mentality of not really feeling physically empowered, you know. So if you don't like to wear makeup, I mean, obviously you don't have to. If that's not what makes you feel empowered, then don't even bother with that, you know. But take care of yourself. Maybe you need to, like, if you want to go to the gym and you haven't been going for a while, maybe that's what makes you feel empowered. Or maybe, you know, it's getting your nails done or your legs waxed. Or I don't know. Whatever makes you feel good about yourself, I think, is important. We have the sunflower, which makes me think of Leo energy. This is also makes me think of the sun tarot card, which often represents fertility. We have the dragonfly and the butterfly. So both of these are symbols of change and transformation. And so I do feel that what this represents is that there are two energies that are transforming, and it could be you and it could be a potential partner, okay? So even though these are two separate creatures, they're still undergoing a similar process where they go from one thing to another. So group number 3, I hope that this reading was helpful to you. If you resonated with it, let me know how in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't joined our family yet but would like to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll hear whenever I upload a new video. And if you're interested in a personal reading with yours truly, you can find my contact information in the description box down below. Bye.